Really tight. There. Does that work? Okay. That one never worked this week. Oh, wow.
Status, is it Siltain? How else pronounce your name for it?
Celtic.
That's the place you provide it.
You want your name tag on the side table?
That's
I remember that it started at 1:30. Chairman Lyons at 7. We're gonna get something. Yeah, so it's all the gonna do. Would you bet?
All right, let's get this started. Roll call. Chairman Beverly. Commissioner Carter.
Here.
Commissioner Doggett.
Present.
Commissioner Green.
Here.
Commissioner Head. Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Jeffers. Here. Commissioner Lane. Vice Chair Lee. Commissioner Park. Present. Commissioner Russell. Commissioner Spangler. Commissioner Wilbur.
Here.
Commissioner Wright.
Commissioner Wright here, and I know you hadn't looked up. Commissioner Jackson just walked in.
Perfect. Reading Chairman's statement. All post commissioners have previously agreed to recuse themselves from any vote that would constitute conflict of interest. The most obvious of those would include issues that involve our own departments or some we know personally. Because we have already agreed to this, it should be noted that on routine matters, it will be assumed non-verbally that these commissioners have abstained from the vote. In bigger, more controversial issues that may have more overt conflict of interest, it may have an appearance of impropriety. These black commissioners will still verbally abstain from these votes.
All right, good afternoon to all. My name is Michael Begley. I'm an administrative judge and assigned by the Secretary of State to sit with Peace Officer Standard Training of those commission today. We have a contested hearing on the docket. That hearing is Department of Commerce and Insurance v. Kelton Patterson. The docket number is 12440-263-056A. As we get going, I guess first I'll ask counsel, both parties, if you wouldn't mind just announcing yourselves for our record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Associate Counsel Meredith Nicely, with Department of Commerce and Insurance.
think it's
It's your-
second from the right, next to the one that's
It's like a mouth like speaking.
But it may not work.
Try this one. There's.
Thank you, Your Honor. Logan Davis on behalf of Respondent Kelton Patterson.
Thank you both. What I'd like to do is briefly go over the record, I mean briefly, and then we will move to pre-hearing matters. We'll take it from there. Just as I keep going, I just want everybody in here to know it's my goal to give the parties the opportunity to present their proof and put on their evidence that it's efficient and laid back a way as we can while preserving the rules and everything. From a housekeeping standpoint, I've told them out in the hall, if you're passing out exhibits or you're trying to do anything, as long as you announce on the record what you're doing, you don't have to ask permission. Just feel free to do that. For our various commissioners and everyone else in the room, if you need a break, if something comes up, just please let us know. I know that everyone's already been asked to silence your phones. I think that's satisfying. If you got an emergency though, or something comes up, just let us know. I know most of you, if not all of you, are veterans at this, so I won't belabor the point. But if there's a question that arises as we go, just let me know. Very briefly, on the 10th of June, whereas when the original notice of hearing charges was filed here, the scheduling order was issued June 29th. That was followed by the witness and exhibit list on August 13th. That was the department's stipulations were entered. Both parties entered the same stipulations on August 13th, which is also when Mr. Patterson's witnesses was filed. I believe that's all I have. Counsel, are there any pre-hearing matters or anything you'd like for me to specifically address this time?
Your Honor, we do have a potential settlement in the matter that Ms. Davis and I will present, and if the commission wants to hear it, we can do that now.
I'll leave that to Mr. Chair. It's fine as far as I'm concerned.
Do we need that form of a motion if we want to hear it now or at the end?
Just permission to move forward with the presentation of the agreed order.
You may agree.
Just so the commissioners know, this agreement is on your iPad. A similar agreement was presented previously. At that time, the department was under the understanding that Chattanooga had positioned themselves not in support of the agreement. That has since been clarified that Chattanooga's position is that they take no position on the agreement. So they're not against the agreement or for it. They just want the commission to make the decision as far as this settlement agreement. So that being said, I'll let Ms. Davis kind of give you the more nuanced details of it, and if the commission decides to vote on one way or the other, we'll keep things moving.
Thank you. Yes, and wanted the opportunity to present this before you all again. It was the same agreement, but with the additional information. I think it's important information. The stance of the agency, Chattanooga Police Department, and there's a member of the Chattanooga Police Department here who's a witness and ready to testify, but I'm sure can answer any questions. And the information that that Chattanooga did not take any position, I think is significant. And the underlying factual basis and all that remains the same. You all can look through the specifics of that. The main crux of it is a suspension for a 2-year period. And so that's what we're asking you all to consider, additionally with the requirements to, of course, appear before the Coast Commission with any potential rehiring agency and the transition school. So we ask you all for your consideration of that with this additional information today. Thank you.
Commissioner Wilbur, I think it would be helpful if this commission heard
from witnesses about what happened in this incident. So I'm gonna make a motion to deny those orders.
Commissioner Grant, I'll second.
We got a motion to deny the agreed order in a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, thank you. Were there any other pre-hearing matters parties would like to address?
Your Honor, the state does have copies of the notice of hearing and charges as well as the stipulations, whenever the court would like us to pass those to the commission. Otherwise, we have no other pre-hearing.
Perfectly fine if you'd like to do that now. While you're doing that, I'll just briefly kind of explain, I'll belabor the point, but members of the commission, you're going to hear testimony, sworn testimony in this case. You have a number of stipulations being passed out, and that'll be fleshed out as we go. But stipulation is both parties agreeing to the facts. Means they agree that these are the facts, so anything that's stipulated to is going to be for your consideration as you move forward in this trial. I have updated it. Any other documents that are admitted as exhibits would be for your purview, for your determination as we go forward. If I don't admit it as an exhibit, or it's not a stipulation, or it's not live testimony, it is not for your consideration as you look toward making your findings in this case. You are tasked with making a decision and drafting an order in this case that will contain your findings of fact, which is just that. Based on all the evidence you have, what do you find those facts are? You will get much information that's agreed to. You may get some information that is conflicting. To the extent you get conflicting information, it will be incumbent upon you to decide where you think the evidence weighs or what you believe or don't believe. Make a decision on what those facts are. Don't take anything I say to be trying to sway anyone's opinion at all. It is my job to help run the hearing, but it's your job to make the decision. I believe, and counsel can correct me if we're wrong, if I'm wrong. Yeah, two witnesses and they're both in the room, correct?
That's accurate, Your Honor.
Okay, so because I'm prone to forget, can I swear you both in right now? That'd be okay? If you'll each just raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. Do you swear affirm the testimony you give to them be true, the truth, so help you God? Have you got the affirmative in both? Thank you. I don't believe there's anything else that I feel like is necessary covering at the moment. Should something come up during the hearing, I know there was a charge at the beginning, but should something come up that gives you pause or concern that maybe you do actually have a conflict or you want to address something of that nature on the record, just stop us and we'll take care of it. Commissioners, counsel, anyone have any questions? Okay, there being none, counsel, if you'd like to make your way to brief opening statement, please do that. And if you would also explain the burden to the commission in case you do that.
Thank you, Your Honor, members of the commission. Good afternoon. My name is Mara Nicely. I represent the Department of Commerce and Insurance in this matter. Today, we are here in the matter of Hillside Patterson, in the matter of Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance versus Hillside Patterson, and what the commission should do about the allegations that have been presented to you and will be presented to you today. The burden of proof in this matter is a preponderance of the evidence. So your question today will be, is it more likely than not that Mr. Patterson resigned with disciplinary action pending that could have resulted in decertification? If you find that that is true based on stipulations and the facts that you hear today, you will be charged with making a decision as to whether to decertify, suspend, or take no action in this matter. That being said, today you will hear from Lieutenant Kilgore from the Chattanooga Police Department. He will tell you that Officer Patterson, a former CPD officer, resigned from CPD on May 1st, 2024, with disciplinary action pending that could have resulted in decertification. He will explain the story surrounding the facts in the notice of hearing and charges that you have reviewed, where Lieutenant Kilgore is going to tell you about the OPA investigation, where findings against Mr. Patterson were sustained for use of force with bodily injury and unbecoming conduct. These were both policy violations that could have resulted in termination under Chattanooga's disciplinary matrix. had Mr. Patterson not resigned before disciplinary action could be taken. He will also discuss the actions by respondent that led to the findings. Lieutenant Kilgore will explain that Mr. Patterson was visiting a friend at the hospital who was another Chattanooga Police Department officer and bringing her dinner. He ate dinner with her and was off duty at the time, and he was not assigned to the hospital. He wore his badge into a secure area of the hospital, and while he was there, Officer Patterson and his friend Brooke Lopez, the other Chattanooga officer, were talking with a Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy. That Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy, her name was Deputy Rostetter. She was there guarding an inmate at the hospital. You will hear that while they were talking during the shift, Officer Lopez was sitting on top of the desk, and Mr. Patterson was kind of like reaching for her taser, joking with her, pulling her taser off of her uniform. And then the conversation turned to the fact that Deputy Rossiter had never been tased before. She said, I wonder what it's like to be tased, or I want to know what it's like to be tased. Shortly thereafter, Officer Patterson, who is not a taser instructor, who was not on duty, pulled CPD Officer Lopez's taser off of her uniform and drive stunned the Deputy Rossiter in the leg. At that time, the taser did leave marks on Deputy Rossiter's leg. You'll see that those photographs today, as well as the video footage where this occurred. You'll have a chance to review the internal affairs reports and ask questions of both the CPD investigator as well as Mr. Patterson. And you'll be able to see the taser log to show that the taser was actually deployed at the time that Deputy Rossiter was drive stunned. Officer Patterson has stipulated to the majority of these facts. You'll see that in your stipulations today. He doesn't deny that this happened. So one of the more important charges today is for the commission to just determine if he admits that all of this happened, what do we now do with certification? Does he need to remain in law enforcement? Should he not go back to law enforcement? Those are the questions that I hope you'll consider. I think at the end of this, the commission will have reviewed all the evidence, and at that time, the department will ask you to please certify Mr. Patterson. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Hayes. You want to make a brief opening statement?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. My name is Logan Davis. I represent Kelton Patterson. And I want to get right to it. I think this case is going to be a little bit irregular than many cases brought before you. We do stipulate to the majority of the underlying facts. And that, in terms of the initial burden of proof that was discussed before you today, we stipulate to that. We stipulate that he resigned when the possibility of termination was on the table. I expect the proof to show today why a 2-year suspension as a result of this, the resulting discipline, is appropriate. Former Officer Patterson is here to take accountability, to answer any questions you all have, and to explain the circumstances and context surrounding the facts that brought us here today. I want to be very clear from the outset, though, that it is not our position or his position to minimize his action or to say that it's not significant. It is significant for its discipline. So that's what we're here asking you all to weigh today at this next statement. One of the benefits of facts presented in this case is that this entire incident was captured on video. So that allows everyone to view the video and assess for themselves the context, the circumstances surrounding it, the reactions from everyone. I think that's helpful for all involved to be able to see all relevant facts. I also submit that we will hear from Lieutenant Kilgore from Chattanooga Police Department. I expect him to testify to the facts and underlying circumstances that the investigation in Chattanooga took. And I also expect him to say that Chattanooga does not take a position on whether or not the commission should decertify Mr. Patterson. I think that's significant. I think it's significant that there's not an agency here asking to be certified. And just for clarity's sake, obviously there was, Chattanooga did at some point ask the post commission to decertify Mr. Batterson. That was under a different administration. That chief is currently under criminal indictment, 17 felonies in Chattanooga, including perjury and official misconduct. So we're in a completely different standpoint as we stand here now than when it was submitted in terms of the posture Chattanooga. I submit to you all that at the close of this hearing, the totality of the evidence will show that the bad judgment, objectively bad judgment that Mr. Batterson showed that day does not disqualify him from re-entering law enforcement and becoming a police officer in the future, and that a 2-year suspension is an appropriate and professional discipline to render in this case. And so at the end of this hearing, that's what we'll be asking to accept. And I appreciate your time and attention to this matter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. At this time, Ms. Nicely, would you like to call your first witness, or the parties want to distribute exhibits that are agreed to, or how best would you like to move forward?
Your Honor, if we could pass out the exhibits that we anticipate to put in with Lieutenant Kilgore, then that may save some time in the questioning portion, but we'll defer to the board.
No, absolutely, that's fine, and we should share upon those evidence passed out. If you all do this different, do that instead. Typically, though, give you all the opportunity to look them over. Once everyone's ready, just let us know. You can pick up with your witness.
Is that one? Thanks. This is. We will bring up the Lieutenant Kilgore. And Your Honor, we would just call Lieutenant Kilgore to the stand.
Kilgore, make yourself as comfortable as you can under your circumstances. You've already been sworn, so it's nicely once everyone's settled, and then once you get the work from. Actually, let me jump back in. Are you wanting to discuss these during and throughout the testimony?
If that's okay.
That's perfectly fine. So, Mr. Chair, I guess we'll just do that way, and You all can cue each other as you go forward through the testimony.
And I'm happy to, Your Honor, give the you now and during whatever the court.
It makes sense to me if you're going to be referring to them through the testimony, we can just do it as we go.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Please,
Lieutenant Kilgore, can you just state your name for the record, please?
Yes, ma'am. It's Lieutenant Justin Kilgore,
How are you employed?
employed with the Chattanooga Police Department.
In what position?
I'm the Commander of Internal Affairs.
And how long have you had that role?
3.5 years,
All right, and how long have you been at Chattanooga PD?
just a little over 25 years.
What does your job with OPA or the internal affairs, what does that include?
I oversee all internal investigations, whether it be that my investigators investigate or they go out to the chain of command for investigation. Inside of our policy, depending on what the classification is, it would be depending on whether I works the case of the allegations or it would be the chain of command that works this. Oversee also all of our what we call blue team entries. I'm sure most people are aware of blue team. It's a sister of IPRO. So any use of force, forced entry, firearm discharge, any reports come through, they eventually come through me. Close those out, so I'm the keeper of all the records.
Okay, and so during your job, did you have a chance to come into contact with Kelsey Pat?
Yes, ma'am.
In what capacity?
I've never worked around Kelton, but I did come in contact with just his case specifically.
And did you prepare a report in Mr. Patterson's case?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Right, and I know it's a 4-report stack that everybody is looking at. Is your report one in a chain of reports that was developed in Mr. Patterson's disciplinary?
Yes, ma'am. It's called the conclusion of fact. It's going to be the second report in that chain.
Okay, and what are you typically looking for in your role when you're creating that conclusion of fact?
So I will look through all the evidence, whatever it may be. I'll watch all the interviews, and I'll just bring the facts out of the totality of the report to make it easier to read through.
Right, and in that document, when you're reviewing the underlying reports, in Mr. Patterson's case, what did you learn?
I learned quite a bit, so we can talk about some specifics, or I could read the entire report to you. But I can tell you that we learned that he was at the hospital visiting Brooke Lopez. There was some sort of romantic relationship that was going on, so they were sitting there flirting. He had pulled out her taser, and Deputy Rostetter with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office was there. She worked in corrections, so she was there as a jailer overseeing someone was being seen for whatever they had going on. And they have a conversation about that she had never been tased before. So he pulls out the taser, eventually puts it to her leg, holds them just a second, and then shoots her, drive stuns her.
And was that actually, it was like 1.9 seconds or something?
It's very quick, that's fine.
And so the person that Deputy Rossiter was guarding, we don't know them, but we know it was an inmate or a prisoner.
Well, it'd be the same thing.
Okay, so it was somebody that was in custody.
That's correct.
Do you know if there were any other sheriff's deputies there?
I am not aware of it.
Okay. Do we know who was at the hospital in this kind of more controlled area at that time?
At that specific time when the tasing occurred, it was former CPD officer Brooke Lopez, former officer Kelton Patterson, and Deputy Rostetter with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office.
And was there a video recording pulled from the hospital with this?
Yes, ma'am. There's video hospital video that is kind of directly over top of the entire incident.
Would you recognize that video if
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we can play the adult ER one and the adult ER two separate videos. For the record, we're playing two videos. One is entitled Adult ER one, the second one is entitled Adult ER two. We'll play it in that order. So is this individual sitting in the chair, the male, is that Mr. Patterson?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is sitting on the desk?
That's former CPD officer Brooke Lucas,
And how would you classify their conduct in this video?
in a flirting manner.
Was it kind of horseplay? Was he pulling on Taylor and that kind of stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
And then at that time, who is the woman sitting over on the left?
It's Deputy Ross Center.
And so this video, this first one, that's not the tasing video, but it's mostly them just kind of horseplay at dinner around the while they were hanging out back there.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that right? Alright, and that's that one, we can play them. Is the second video the one that you've identified as has the tasers?
We watched it, I can confirm that.
Okay.
Commissioner Green, a question. You know who those other people are?
More than likely, those are just hospital staff.
Not law enforcement at all?
I'm not aware of any law enforcement, no, sir.
That's all, thank you.
All of our law enforcement officers that work the extra job at the hospital would be in their normal duty uniform, much like Brooke Lopez sitting there with this.
Was Mr. Patterson assigned to the hospital that night?
No, ma'am.
Was he on duty that night?
No, ma'am.
How did he, to the best of your knowledge, gain access to this area?
I don't have knowledge, speculation. All of our officers have code to get into the emergency room door, so that could be one way. Officer Lopez could have also let him in since he was bringing her food.
If his interview said something about him wearing his badge that night, is that typically what an off-duty officer would do? Wear their badge to an event?
Again, I can't tell you for sure.
Okay.
He could have just gotten off duty and came by there, so he could still have his stuff on, just not taking it off.
But he was not working.
He was not working on that.
So in your conclusion of fact report, did you conclude that this would be a violation under Chattanooga's policies?
Yes, ma'am.
And what kind of violation did you determine it would be?
So I specifically don't include that. I just represent the facts of the case.
Okay.
But as it does go up the chain, they're the ones that make recommendations and determine what they believe the allegation should be as far as sustained, not sustained, exonerated, or unfounded.
Okay, and was there two different findings sustained in the report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the report that I'm looking at, just so you know, I'm looking at the one that was created on 3/29. It should be the last page of the packet.
Okay.
What are the two allegations that are sustained from Mr. Patterson?
Use of force violation, injury / deadly force, and unbecoming conduct.
And does the Chattanooga Police Department have written policies about the use of deadly force or unbecoming conduct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I know that we have a few different packets in front of us about use of force. What I want to start with at first is the disciplinary matrix. Can you explain to the commission where, under your disciplinary matrix, on the back page of PER 06 disciplinary procedures, which where this might fall.
Yeah, I'll show you where it might fall, but also I'll explain kind of how we get to that point.
That would be
Okay. So if you'll actually look on that first page from 329, it just gives the two allegations. Sometimes we'll tell you exactly where to find it, but it's not specifically there. So what I want to point to is specifically admin 16, which is our code of conduct. If you'll open that up, this is going to have a listing of all of our potential allegations with the Justice Department. They're broken down. The first half is what we call class 1, that are investigated by internal affairs, and class 2, investigated by the chain of command. So in this specific case, we're talking about use of force violation, injury / deadly force. So if you will flip over to, let's see, page 4, it's going to be under category H. Page 4, category H, it says right there, use of force violation, injury, deadly force. So once you find that letter H, you'll turn over to the discipline matrix, which is on the back, which is page 8. It's on, I'm sorry, it's in the other policy with that verse 6. So if you look at verse 6 and flip it over, you'll find the matrix there. And you'll go down on the left to violation category. It says H. You go over to the number 8. Go the next step down, 8. The only outcome is termination.
Thank you. And so what about for the unbecoming conduct?
So we'll do the exact same thing here. Unbecoming conduct is actually on page 3. And it's under category G. So if you'll do the same thing, you'll just take per 6, flip over to the back, category G. In the Chattanooga Police Department, we always focus on what we call the presumptive. So the offense is number 7. So you go down to number 7. The presumptive on that would be 160-hour suspension or demotion.
And what is the maximum punishment for number 7?
Termination.
And Your Honor, just for some housekeeping matters, we talked about the reports first. If we could enter the staff and disciplinary reports as collective exhibit 1 for the record. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask if there's any objection.
No objection.
Okay, and this is a collective exhibit 1, the staff and disciplinary reports, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, it'll be entered as collective exhibit. Go ahead.
And then as collective exhibit 2, the videos, if the court will allow.
And just for the record, the videos are the 2 videos, right? Videos 1 and 2. Is there any objection to that?
No objection.
Okay, so those 2 videos, of which most were already shown, will be collective exhibit 2.
And then as collective exhibit 3, these 2 policies, please, Your Honor.
No objection.
There being no objection, the policies will be collective exhibit 3.
And so, Lieutenant Gilor, we've talked about the charges that were sustained could have resulted in termination, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But Chattanooga didn't ultimately get to make the disciplinary decisions, is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am, that's accurate.
Why?
Former Officer Batterson resigned from the department prior to disciplinary review period taking place.
And Your Honor, I would just like to enter Officer Batterson's resignation letter as the next speaker event. And Lieutenant Gilor, do you have a copy of that?
For right now.
No objection.
No objection from the state, someone with a resignation letter, we are exhibit 4.
Yes, ma'am, I have it.
Alright, and what is that resignation letter? What's the date on that one?
It's May 1st, 2024.
Alright, and then going back to the policies, the packet, we were talking about the 329 was the date on that. So you guys were just kind of waiting for the disciplinary stuff to come up.
So this was done by, at the time, let's see here. Here, Assistant Chief Jonathan Bright. He would have been sending it up to the next level to review. And then at that point, a DRH would be offered or would be scheduled for the officer. Okay.
So a 1 month gap in the disciplinary timeline is not unusual.
Yeah,
Something that raise your eyebrows.
Yeah.
Did anybody discuss with Mr. Batterson, or maybe you can just tell me as your experience as an officer, Is using a taser against somebody, considered a use of force at your department?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, ma'am. It's covered in our use of force policy. which you all should have.
Is that the policy labeled ABM 05?
Yes, ma'am. You have a page that the CEW is on.
Yes.
It's page 6. The CEW, which is what the taser falls under,
Alright, what does CEW stand for?
conductive energy weapon.
Okay, and can you just talk the commission through y'all's policy on CEWs and when it's appropriate to use them as a use of force, and when it's not appropriate to use them?
Sure. We'll specifically talk about the usage criteria, and if you want to follow along. So we're on page 7. It talks number 2, it talks specifically about usage criteria. It says the CEW may be used when the following 3 criteria are present. Verbal commands have failed to bring about the subject's compliance. Defensive resistance has been exhibited by the subject. Probable cause has been established on the subject, or when an officer has reasonable belief that a probable cause arrest is imminent. Probable cause must be established before the subject evades or resists. The CEW may be used in a rare case where subject is undergoing a mental process or they are in danger to themselves or others. Extreme due regard must be exercised before a CEW is used in these cases.
Okay, and so was any of those, to the best of your knowledge, present at the hospital that night?
None of those were present.
Okay, so there was no threat from Deputy Rostetter that you observed in the video?
No, ma'am.
What are the qualifications at your department to teach people about the taser as a weapon? Do you have to be an instructor or have some type of
You
training?
do have to go to instructor school and be an instructor to be able to teach that. I don't believe that's laid out inside of our use of force policy.
That's okay, I was just curious. So, does Mr. Patterson, to the best of your knowledge, have that qualification?
During his interview, I'm pretty certain that he said he was not qualified to teach taser.
If somebody was qualified to teach about the taser, would they be authorized to do it at the hospital?
No, ma'am.
Would they be authorized to do it, for an employee of a different agency?
No, ma'am.
Okay, if one of Officer Batterson's coworkers had said, hey, we're just hanging out, we're just having fun, will you please tase me? Would he be authorized to do that under policy?
No, ma'am.
Okay, was he authorized to tase Deputy Rostetter under policy?
No, ma'am.
Did Deputy Rostetter create a, report in this matter?
She reached out to her agency. Her agency did an initial investigation on it.
Oh, and Your Honor, for the record, if we could just enter that use of force policy as the next.
Okay, so this will be, exhibit 5 is the equivalent to exhibit 9 stipulations, is that correct? AEM-05 use of force,
Yes, Your Honor.
it'll be entered as exhibit 5. As long as there's no objection.
No objection.
Thanks.
So do you have a copy of Deputy Rossiter's report in front of you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate copy of the report that you've seen, throughout this investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, we would just move to enter that as the next exhibit. The Deputy Rossiter's written report.
Any objection to the written report?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, there being no objection, Deputy Rossiter's written report will be entered. We are on exhibit 6.
And did Deputy Rossiter submit photographs of the taser burns on her legs, on her leg from this incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, and Your Honor, if it's okay with the court, we do have a picture to put on the screen of the taser incident. There's also a printed copy for the.
Okay,
We can just get that as big as possible. How, if you're drive stunned by a taser, what type of injury does that typically lead?
You're gonna have a burn mark on your skin, almost like a small freckle.
Okay, and is that typically happen with a set of four prongs, or how does this typically happen?
So it depends on the type of taser that's used.
Okay.
Our newest tasers, they do have two different compartments, that things would come out of, that the darts would come out of. So you would see, that would be a look that you would see based off of that.
Okay, and so can you explain to the commission, I know there's some like freckles and stuff, but are we looking at the burn marks, is it that square kind of in the middle of the picture?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and those are those typically like a burn mark you would see from a taser?
Yes, ma'am.
And there's a second photo that's a little bit more zoomed in. And is that just a second photo of essentially the same marks?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, we would move to enter the photos as collective exhibit for the next number.
No objection.
Is there any objection, total of 2 photos, correct?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well,
Yes,
there are 2,
photos.
so that'll be exhibit 7, I believe, so it'll be 2 photos, go ahead.
Did you guys pull the Axon taser report from Ms. Lopez's taser?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Right, and was it Ms. Lopez's taser that was discharged during the event?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
In the video, we saw Mr. Patterson kind of pull her taser off her uniform. He didn't have his own taser with him that night, is that accurate?
And I will have one on this person.
So when we're looking at the Axon taser report, there's 2 events. Can you help me understand? One of them, there's not a discharge, but can you help me understand how to read this taser report to the best of your ability?
It's been a little while since I've read one.
I can talk us through it in a little more detail.
It's okay. It appears that both of them, they're different, they're the same date, but they're different times, roughly an hour apart.
Okay, and so looking at that second taser incident, if we look over to page 2, there's a line that says electricity discharged. Is that the discharge, to the best of your knowledge, that we saw on the video with Deputy Rossiter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and would approximately 2 seconds seem accurate based on the other facts in the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything else the commission would need to know or understand about this taser report?
No, ma'am.
Did the department interview Deputy Rossiter and Deputy Lopez during this series of events?
Yes, ma'am, they did.
Were their stories same or similar to what we discussed today?
Yes, ma'am, they were.
And the department, did the department ultimately did it seem like if Mr. Patterson would have stayed at the department would have sustained these 2 policy violations from the reporting that you have? So,
You're not object to that as speculation.
okay, I can rephrase, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll just strike the question, rephrase it, and see if it's good.
Going back to that original March 29th report, was that the highest ranking person that had looked at Mr. Patterson's case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and at that time in that report, were the 2 charges sustained?
Yes, ma'am.
And then did respondent resign with that disciplinary action pending on May 1st of 24?
There was no hearing, but there were those 2. That was that document that was done on March of 29th that was pending to continue the investigation when he resigned.
Okay, so was Chattanooga unable to make a disciplinary decision because of his resignation?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass it with this.
Thank you, Ms. Davis, questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Briefly, Your Honor, I may have missed it. Did we enter the taser report?
We do not.
Your Honor, I would just ask that we do admit that as the next number to
And
submit.
I have no objection.
There's, no, thank you. There being no objection, it'll be entered as exhibit 8. Go right in.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Lieutenant Kilgore.
Hi, Logan.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So I want to go to that exhibit 8, and just make sure I understand. If we can go to that page 2 of the TASER report.
Sure.
And so this electricity discharge says 0.199x. Doesn't that mean less than 1 second?
I can't tell you how to read this. Like I said, I've never read this specifically, but if you go back to the first page, it appears that it was 2.996 seconds, but I can't tell you for sure exactly which of those two.
But suffice to say, when you watch the video, we're talking about a brief time period here, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Lieutenant, you're here today to present facts that you found during the investigation, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not here to recommend any outcome to the commissioners here.
No, ma'am.
When the taser was discharged, Deputy Rossiter was not incapacitated, correct?
I guess it depends on your definition of incapacitated.
Well, she didn't fall to the ground, correct?
No, ma'am.
And she certainly stayed conscious and was conversing with the other 2 officers there, correct?
So every taser incident that I've reviewed, there's not necessarily consciousness loss, so I don't believe that would apply.
Sure. This is the drive stun, though. I want to make sure we're clear on that. This is not where the cartridges were deployed, right?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
So this is where the cartridges were removed.
No, yes, the cartridges had been removed, and you can see that in the video, and that's when he drops stuns.
Okay, okay. I mean, based on your view of that video, would you state that she was incapacitated during that video?
In my definition, no, it's saying she's incapacitated.
And the tasing by Mr. Batterson was not done to gain compliance for any reason, correct?
I can't answer exactly what his decision was on compliance or not, because I don't know that that question was asked of him during the investigation.
Sure. Maybe I can ask that a little different way.
Sure.
During your investigation with him, he did not indicate that he was using the taser to subdue your Rossiter.
No, ma'am.
I'd like to talk about your interview with Mr. Batterson. You did not conduct the interview with him,
No,
correct?
ma'am, it was Sergeant Terry Barnes.
Okay. Did you have the opportunity to review those interviews? with
Yes,
him?
ma'am.
Okay. Was Mr. Batterson cooperative in those interviews?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he answer the questions posed to him?
He did. There was one point of contention due to him making contact with Deputy Rossiter, would be considered outside of our policy. And there was conflicting statements on what she told us he said versus what he told us he said.
Sure. But he came in and, as his duty is, cooperated with the internal affairs investigation at that point?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
And in a case that is dealing with these, this level of offense, the category H or category G, who at the department has the authority to hear hear disciplinary hearing?
So because of termination, it would be the chief of police.
Okay, and this never made it to the chief, that's correct?
Correct.
And Lieutenant, whatever the post commission ultimately decides outside the scope of your role here today, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, I have no other questions.
Good, thank you. I think first, Mr. Chair, any questions from the members or to Kimball?
Commissioner Green have one.
No, sir.
To your knowledge, is he eligible for rehire?
No, sir, he's not.
Has there been any discussion about rehiring him, by the administration?
Not that I'm aware of from our department.
It's fine.
Commissioner Wright. And if I missed this, I apologize. How long had he been with the department?
I can't give you that answer. I don't have that in my notes anywhere.
Okay. Do you know if was there any other internal affairs investigation over his course of time?
Yes, sir, there have been, and there was one pending at the time.
One thing. Um. It's not coming to.
Commissioner Green, I can help you a little bit. It says he was hired on 2013.
Commissioner Carter here, Lieutenant, I've worked internal affairs for my previous, agency.
Yes, sir.
And I'm familiar with Blue Team and IA Pro.
Yes, sir.
What is the, retention period at EI Pro for this particular violation?
So all of our records stay. We have things that date back to as far as when we first started iPro, and we put stuff back in there that back from the 90s. So if you're referring to how long do we keep stuff, we keep it forever.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
This is Commissioner Jefferson. What was the outcome? Do we know the outcome of, what happened to him? What happened to do we know what happened to the individual that was tased as far as, was there any kind of disciplinary action towards her? And then the officer that had the taser removed, what was the outcome for her?
I can't tell you what the outcome was for the deputy, but I can tell you, and I can get a final outcome for you on my computer there. I'll get all our report here, but there is an outcome. So, as y'all see, we have a bunch of papers shown over there. There was an allegation that was put on Officer Lopez for reporting violations of rules and orders that was sustained. However, this is not the final, as well as an unsatisfactory conduct that was sustained. Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right, Commissioner Wright, I got my call. How did this come to the knowledge of the department for Chattanooga? Did it come from the deputy that was tased? Did it come from Officer Lopez? How did y'all initially learn of it?
Officer Rosseder told her department about it, and they began an investigation on the front end for potential criminal act.
I do have a question. Was this ever presented to the DA's office for the criminal charges?
The deputy Rosseder said that she did not want to pursue anything criminal.
Oh, I think. Any other question, Commissioners?
Brief opportunity, by the council, that's a good additional question based on questions of commissioners. Just briefly.
I don't have anything further.
Nothing further from your.
Thank you. And thank you. You're free to go have the very comfortable chair on the other side of the room if you'd like. Actually, those look a little more comfortable. I'll be honest. Okay, Ms. Nicely, we are still on your group. Would you like to call the witness or documentary evidence? How would you like to proceed?
No, Your Honor, we would just ask that Lieutenant Kilgore remain for rebuttal evidence if needed.
Sure. Thank you and sorry.
Sorry.
Just don't call. Just say.
They just, you have to enjoy that chair. Yes.
It's all good, sir.
Anything else then, Ms.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we will move to Ms. Davis in our case. Ms. Davis, would you like to call the roll witness?
Yes, Your Honor, I would call Kelton Batterson.
Well, you've already been sworn. I'm guessing you're going to come here and hang out with me too.
That's right.
If that's okay with you. It's fine. I hope it's okay with you.
And Your Honor, if it's all right, I'd like to pass out some documents prior to.
Sure. Go right in. Maybe while that's occurring, just to confirm our record, I'm going to 8 exhibits. The last one was the taser.
All right, good afternoon. Could you introduce yourself to the post committee, please?
Former Officer Kelton Patterson,
How long have you worked in law?
just over 10 years.
With all of that with Chattanooga Police Department?
No, ma'am.
Where did you work prior to?
Chattanooga was my first department.
Okay. So did you work anywhere else after Chattanooga?
That is correct.
Okay. Where did you work?
Cleveland State with their police department.
Okay. When you worked at Chattanooga Police Department, at the end, what was the assignment that you held?
I was an investigator for the intelligence unit.
Okay. Can you tell me about the duties and responsibilities you had?
Yes, ma'am. My duties and responsibilities were any acts of violence, all shootings within the city, gang activity, organized crime, mass casualty events. I was liaison to the Department of Homeland Security for terrorism and just anything else that the chain of command needed, intelligence. And our intelligence reach was across the state of Tennessee up to New York.
And so putting together this intelligence, your responsibility to then to put these together and disseminate it throughout the department.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
And throughout your tenure at Chattanooga Police Department, did you ever receive any commendation for your work?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me a little bit about that briefly?
There were a few different ones. There's one for, we were making entry on a wanted suspect and I spotted an immediate threat, which was a target holding a gun in the deep curve to the right. I was able to get our team out of the line of fire. Suspect was, threat was eliminated and everybody on that. A lieutenant at the time, unbeknownst to me, wrote a letter of or commendation after he did it, with the rest of the entry team.
All right. Were you also involved in an officer-involved shooting during your time as a law enforcement officer?
Approximately 3 of them.
Okay. Were you ever shot in the line of duty?
Have been, yes, ma'am.
Can you tell briefly about that?
Yes, ma'am. We were conducting a fugitive apprehension operation on a known gang member. Another agency outside of Chattanooga reached out to me and asked if I had any information about this individual. I had a network of CIs that were able to give me actionable intelligence. We had a team present at a location where we identified the suspect and we attempted a apprehension, much like any other apprehensions that we've done. Upon contact with the suspect, he opened fire on me from his, I was standing at his door of his vehicle. He presented a firearm and shot at me. He struck me 2 times. And gun battle ensued. Me and my partners, I had good partners in me. They took care of me. And I was able to make home.
like to jump forward a little bit to February 10th, 2024, the incident that we're all here for today. Were you were dressed in your uniform for your assignment, correct?
That is correct. I was in a plainclothes capacity.
Can you explain to me a little bit about that?
Yes, ma'am. There are units within the police department that are not typically in uniforms based on the type of operations that we would conduct. And so my unit was authorized to be in plain clothes or in a soft uniform if need be. So the way that I was dressed that evening would be my typical duty attire.
Were you on duty?
I was on call with the city of Chattanooga that night, so I was being paid.
So tell me what that means when you're on call.
As I stated previously, my responsibility was to respond to any shooting, mass casualty event. A lot of those would take place during the evening hours. So I would have to be able to respond to a scene, and I would need to be in my uniform and have a vehicle, city issued vehicle. So where I was that night, it wouldn't be feasible for me to make it home. Respond in a timely manner. So that's what I was.
And could you walk me through what happened that night?
Yes, ma'am. As was previously stated, I brought some food for Officer Lopez, who was working an extra job. A lot of times it's common for officers to go hang out with other officers at extra jobs, even if they're not being paid for it. I brought her food, and we were, all three of us were just hanging out and talking and joking around like officers do. Her detainee was handcuffed to a bed behind a secure door, behind a glass secure door. So she was able to be removed from that and not have to be directly dealing with that subject. Conversation, and I think the video kind of shows it. There was some pointing to the taser and talking. The conversation was really Deputy Rossetter wanted to go to the road, and we were talking about the tasers. She made a statement. I want to know what it feels like to be tased. I responded, okay, and that's when I took the taser and we removed the cartridges, and I did a spark check. It's a button on the side of the taser that only allows the weapon to be armed for that period of time. It just responds to that touch. That's why it's such a brief. And then immediately she laughed about it. Honestly, she laughed at it and said that it reminded her of a time where her sergeant grabbed her with I guess they have a club there that has similar capabilities. She said it reminded her of that, but it wasn't as bad as that. And then we went into conversations about the different levels of effectiveness in the field, body composition and clothing, when tasers are effective and when they're not effective, and things like that. And we just kind of joking throughout the night, hanging out. There really wasn't any other conversation about the incident.
How would you characterize this interaction? Was it a contentious interaction or a casual interaction? To be clear for the post commission here today, should you have done that?
I was wrong and have become complacent with my surroundings. I made a bad judgment.
Do you regret doing that?
Absolutely.
And you are not contending that you were training her or that you were qualified to train her in any way, correct?
I mean, it's just to give the situation context. I've heard of, and we've all seen officers use equipment in a manner that shouldn't be. It was just kind of distinguishing that it wasn't a gotcha type of moment. It wasn't looking to hurt her or surprise her or anything. But of course, I guess is how somebody got.
How would you categorize it?
I would have to say, that's fair. It's a fair system. I'm not a trainer. I'm certified to train somebody to taste it. It's not simply should have director. We'll talk to her.
When you took the taser off of Officer Lopez, you removed the cartridges, correct?
So the cartridges were,
About how long did you activate the taser for?
I just touched it. It's clutch.
Regardless of the length of time it was deployed for, do you agree, you should not?
Yeah.
And you reviewed the investigation and documents that were admitted into evidence, correct? And did you see that there was a discrepancy, let's say, about whether Deputy Rossetter had asked you to taser? Did you see that in the documents?
I believe there was like mention of something that she didn't explicitly ask me.
You agree that it doesn't matter either way would have been inappropriate and a lapse of judgment?
Yeah, it remains the same, whether she was in agreement, not in agreement.
And then I'd like to talk about the internal affairs investigation. Did you submit to interviews in that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you cooperate fully with those interviews?
Yes, sir.
I think there's some questions about communications with Deputy Rossetter, correct?
There's,
Did you in any way attempt to influence her statements or testimony?
no, that conversation took place when all I heard was that somebody complained of security guard. Or somebody had about this, and so I didn't even know at that time.
Did you in fact apologize to Deputy Rossetter?
I did, I told her I'm sorry to be drugged into this. That's what I told her. Okay,
And as you stand here today, are you sorry to her that you did it?
and she had to deal with heat from her department. Probably worried about her role in her law enforcement career as well, so.
You, were you ever the subject of any sort of, criminal investigation related to this?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did you eventually resign from Chattanooga Police Department?
I did.
Can you explain to the commission a little bit the thought process behind that
That's a lot to unpack, to be honest with you.
briefly?
The chief that was there at the time. We had had some disagreements in the past. I believe that she made things extremely personal to me. And I didn't feel comfortable going into anything with her at the chief's spot. There's a lot that shows that, but that particular administration was supportive of me.
And are you referring to Chief Murphy?
That is correct.
Did some of that stem from the reaction or support or lack thereof from the incident where you were shot?
Absolutely.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? And take your time.
I got no support. Me or my family when I was shot, and I was nearly killed in that incident. And people would read that it was my arm. It was my arm. However, my head was over my arm. The only thing that stopped that bullet from entering my face was the width of my arm. I got no support from her. As a matter of fact, I can't prove it, but she was pushing for the DA to charge me criminally in a shooting where I was shot. And I didn't shoot at that suspect until after he had shot me and fired at another officer. People reached out and said they're afraid to support me because of recourse from her or Jonathan Bryant. Just put on an island at my home and had no support. Hamilton County Sheriff's Department was the most support I got. They put a patrol officer by my house every day. Chattanooga Police Department didn't do anything. At one point, I was so tore down, I told them that it almost feels as if it would have been better had I died on scene because it would have been easier for them to deal with. And people that were in leadership in the room at the time in front of my FP, right? didn't object or say anything to it. So with everything that I had dealt with in the shooting, and going into a disciplinary hearing with that state chief, I wanted to leave the department anyways. But
And let me stop you right there. Just to be clear, the shooting took place in August of 2023, correct? And this incident took place in February of 2024, correct? And then you resigned the May of 2024, correct?
that's correct.
And so, go ahead, I didn't. Continue.
No, I'm sorry. There's a lot. I don't even know if I have the ability to properly be made to this goal. There's a lot of reason why me going into any type of official hearing, disciplinary, with that particular chief of her administration just wasn't going to be in my best interest, no matter what the facts of the case.
After you resigned from Chattanooga Police Department, did you go work somewhere else?
I did.
Where is that?
Cleveland State needed a police officer, so I applied for that.
That you were hired on there?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me a little bit about your responsibilities there?
Yes, ma'am. We were obviously for that campus, and then there are roadways surrounding that are high crime areas. And the department was trying to take a more proactive stance with the crime that surrounded the campus versus just dealing with campus issues. And they charged me with coming up with that, how we were going to do that, and to train their existing officers on how to proactively police, because quite frankly, they hadn't been doing anything.
I'd like you to turn your attention to the packet of letters you have before you. And it should be, I believe it's 5 letters in total. The first one on top, dated August 10th, 2026, is from Tim Fowler. Are we looking at the same document?
Yes, ma'am.
Explain that.
Yes, ma'am. Tim Fowler was deputy chief of the Cleveland State Police Department.
In fact, did he previously accompany you to your informal post hearing?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
Is he still employed at Cleveland State?
No, ma'am, he is now a constable and works with the Department of Homeland Security.
If you can turn the page. There's a letter from Andrea Kelly, correct?
That's correct.
Can you explain who that is?
She is a member of the staff of a church that I was involved with, and that I served as their head of security for.
How long did you serve there?
Since I was a rookie. I want to say about 6-8 years. So
And then if you could go to the following page. Or the next letter, that was 2 pages later. Do you see a letter from Christopher Dice?
yes,
Can you explain who that is?
this Officer Dice is a field training officer and a member of the SWAT team of the Chattanooga Police Department.
Is he a current Chattanooga police officer?
He is.
Can you explain a little bit how you worked with him?
I got to know Officer Dice. He came and did he shadowed the intelligence unit. So he would come and work with us on our cases with the U.S. Marshals and the federal partners. And so he shadowed me for a period of 6 months.
Did you work closely with him during this period?
Very closely. He was also one of the officers that was involved in the incident where I was shot.
If you could flip the page to the letter from Gregory Wilhelm.
So
Who is that?
Barry Wilhelm is a lieutenant with the Chattanooga Police Department. He served as my sergeant when I was in patrol. He served as my sergeant when I was with the intelligence unit. And then he was promoted out of the unit when he made lieutenant.
Is he currently serving in Chattanooga Police Department?
This man is a pro. Super, police.
Did he, so he acted as your direct supervisor for a period of time?
For a long period of time, so
And how frequent were your all's interactions?
very,
And if you could flip to the final page, do you see a letter from Zachary McCullough?
I do.
Can you explain who that is?
He was, assistant chief. For me specifically, he was the assistant chief over investigations prior to Celeste Murphy becoming the chief of police department.
Did you work under him?
Yes, I actually, the way that that chain of command was structured, we did not have a captain, so I reported directly to him.
And Your Honor, I would just ask that this be entered as the next collective exhibit.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, there's no objection on it altogether as what the exhibit number 9. Go ahead.
Thank you. Patterson, do you acknowledge that your conduct was unprofessional? Are you asking this commission to find that you acted properly?
No,
Are you asking the commission to excuse this behavior?
no.
What are you asking them to do?
Understand, circumstances and see that I'm here accepting responsibility for my actions and want, one second, bad judgment to determine 10 years long worship that I still have to provide to the community in a role in which you still have the battle either way. But that's really just hear the circumstances and make the decision.
Do you desire to work in law enforcement again?
It's not to
Do you love being a police officer?
do,
Do you view it as part of your identity?
believe so.
I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. I believe it's nice that I have some questions for you.
Mr. Patterson, these letters you provided, none of these people were there in the hospital, is that accurate?
That is accurate. So,
They didn't see you tased at your center,
no, ma'am, they did not.
and they didn't sit in the internal affairs interviews.
No, ma'am, they did not.
And they probably are not as familiar with the circumstances as you or the internal affairs staff are, is that accurate?
I wouldn't say it's accurate, but I also wouldn't know what their level of knowledge is to the incident.
Have you told these other officers your version of the story?
I've spoken to the circumstances. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a law enforcement agency that's in a position to take you back if this commission does let you keep your certification?
I haven't proactively reached out to the department at this level.
You're not a taser instructor,
That is correct.
and you acknowledge that using a taser that night was against the Chattanooga policy.
Yes, ma'am. It is against policy.
And you knew that a drive stun against somebody could cause burn marks on them wherever the taser makes contact with the person.
In my training, it was to expose skin that can result in burn marks. Yes, ma'am.
If you saw W. Rotzer's leg in the photos and the marks that are in the photos.
I disagree with those marks being categorized as they were, but I did see the photos of them. It was-
And you don't dispute that the findings of Chattanooga was the use of force with injury and the unconfident conduct.
Originally,
Please stipulate it to those facts.
I'm sorry, here,
Yeah, you stipulated to the fact that Chattanooga had the use of force with injury claim against you as well as the unconfident conduct claim.
yes,
you agreed that termination was a possible outcome had you ended up at the disciplinary hearing with the chief.
It could be this.
And this was not the only investigation against you at the time you resigned, is that accurate?
That is correct.
There was some other stuff kind of tangential to this going on as well at the time.
The shooting was still open this time.
And there was one other investigation that you had noticed of.
I think it was a fact finding.
Okay. Fact finding. They didn't get to finish that though because you resigned.
I don't know what the outcome of that was. I don't have any knowledge.
You resigned before you found out.
Yes.
You agree that the Chattanooga CEW policy disallows horseplay with tasers. When you were kind of horseplaying with Deputy Lopez, you did pull her taser off of her an additional time and kind of you horseplayed with her with the taser prior to horseplaying with Deputy Rossiter.
I can't say, I mean, the video shows what it shows.
Okay. So Deputy Rossiter's statement was that you like pointed the taser at Deputy Lopez's private area.
I would disagree.
You disagree that that's what the statement says?
No, I'm sorry. I disagree that it happened. I haven't seen that particular statement.
Okay. But you did drive stun Deputy Rossiter.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you knew she was guarding a prisoner.
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't know how she might respond to being tased at the time. You didn't know if she would sustain a more severe injury than she did.
I mean, I knew, given the context of our conversations, what the reaction would be.
So you were surprised later on that when she, I think in the text message you asked her if she changed her story.
I was surprised.
Okay. And ultimately she did end up making a report to Hamilton County.
After it had been initiated, she did this.
And you actually talked to Ms. Rossiter at least twice, once on the phone and once over text message during the internal affairs process. Is that accurate?
It was at the beginning before I knew that.
You texted her when you were relieved of duty, didn't you?
Yes.
And you asked her what happened because you were relieved of duty.
Yes.
And then during your internal affairs interview, they actually told you, do not contact anybody related to this case. Is that accurate?
After that conversation took place, yes, ma'am.
But that wasn't your first internal affairs interview.
No.
So you knew not to contact people relating to internal affairs matters during the investigation.
Yes, ma'am.
You did it anyways.
I did.
You and Deputy Lopez were romantically involved in some way at that time.
That's correct.
Or I'm sorry, Officer Lopez.
That's correct.
You're no longer romantically involved with her. She's also now no longer working for Chattanooga.
I wasn't aware of that.
Okay. Why did you leave Cleveland State?
Because my post was suspended, or sorry, I was removed.
Okay. And you appealed that decision at the end, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you're aware they have you marked as resigned, not in good standing at Cleveland State?
Not aware of that.
You're not aware of that? Okay. There was no threat or other safety concern at the hospital that night. And you said you're not a taser instructor. Even if you were a taser instructor, you would not have been authorized in this scenario to use a taser against Deputy Rossiter. You used Brooke Lopez's taser to drive stun the sheriff's deputy.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Any questions? Commission?
Commissioner, that question.
Commissioner Wright, were you and Deputy Rosssetter friends, or did you know her before this incident?
I had met her that evening, so
That was the first time you did meet?
yes, sir.
Commissioner Carter, when you, I saw the video, it's obvious there's no audio, but when you drive the deputy, what did she say?
She laughed.
She laughed about it? She didn't say how that hurt or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
Commissioner Wilbur, I don't have a mic, but, did you self-report, this issue? Like you knew you did wrong,
No, I did not self-report.
but you knew you did wrong and you just didn't say anything.
It wasn't like that. It was, again, I was complacent. I know looking at it now and even afterwards, but I knew afterwards, like, I made a mistake. I wasn't thinking like that. It wasn't to like cover up. I wasn't trying to hide. So it's on video. So, no, that was me. No, I did not self-report to my department. It wasn't to be to hide circumstances or to be deceiving.
And have you heard the phrase nervous laughter? Would you say maybe that the deputy was trying to cover for the fact that, oh my God, she just got stunned and she wasn't laughing because she thought it was funny, or she was laughing because she was embarrassed? Do you have an opinion on that?
I have an opinion based on the conversation that followed and her continued. Like if we watch the entirety of the video throughout our entire evening, you'll see that she continues to laugh and joke. And no, our interactions prior to and thereafter are consistently the same. There is no deviation from that. With me intimately being there and talking with her, there was never a point of concern. Had there been a point of concern, I made that's it.
And were you tased when you went through the?
Not with the drive stun with the academy, they do the actual probes.
And I'm not a police officer. What's the difference between the two? Is one more painful than the other?
Yes,
Which one is more painful?
the probes.
And so you were not drive stunned, you were hit with probes.
Yes, I've not been drive stun.
How did you react when you got drive stunned? Did you fall to the ground?
It's doesn't do much. It's
So
not
I'm
as-
just wondering why we spend money on tasers. if
Well,
they're not
the
effective.
point of the taser is the probes. The probes are, you can use a drop stun to help get compliance. Like if you're trying to handcuff somebody, and you're in close proximity, it's better than nothing. But the probes are the primary point of the taser.
You took the probes off to make it less painful to her, that why you did it?
The probe, the middle one, sometimes the probes, probably not on the new ones, the older ones, they could, the cartridges could go without you wanting them to. It wasn't, I wasn't thinking pain. I just really, because those are, I would say, dangerous.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, well, this is Commissioner Grant.
Yes,
You
sir.
mentioned that you would drive stun for compliance. Where are you trained to use a taser for compliance?
I mean, it's in our policy
For compliance?
to gain compliance. You know, like if I'm trying to detain somebody or put them into custody or
And where would, you said you've been drive stunned before, but not during an official capacity. How did you react when you were drive stunned?
actually to that.
Have you ever drive stunned somebody in your official capacity?
I only recall using the probes with the official capacity.
Would you think that different people react differently to how they're interacting with the taser.
It's fair to say this week.
So not really knowing how that would have impacted the deputy, no matter how long the exposure. She could have had a different exposure than, or a reaction than you would have had, if you're saying you've not had much reaction.
She could have, listen.
Mr. Carter, so, quick question. You knew when you took the cartridge out that, well, let me rephrase this. If you left the cartridge in and hit it with the probes, you knew it would kind of incapacitate her?
I mean, at that point, if probes would have discharged from the cartridges, I mean, they would give it in bed, that'll.
Well, that's why, sorry.
I'm sorry, you give it in bed and that is. Parts. Into definitely cause injury for sure.
That's why you took the cartridge out?
Probably, I mean, it was, I don't remember having a conscious thought, but I would assume that that's why I removed them to remove that possibility.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Thank you. Council, based on those questions, any brief follow-up?
I have one follow-up question.
Sure.
Mr. Patterson, after this incident took place, how long did the three of you all remain at the hospital?
Hours, I don't know exactly how long, but it's substantial.
And that was all three of them spending time together?
Until Debbie Rosser had to leave.
Thank you.
So,
Anything, Ms. Tyson?
Just briefly, Your Honor.
Okay.
You said you've not seen W. Rossiter's statement, is that accurate?
I've seen in the paperwork, I just didn't recall specific.
Your Honor, may I show this exhibit to the witness?
Sure. For the record, this is her statement, correct?
Yes, this is W. Rossiter's statement, and maybe exhibit 6 or 7.
Okay, go ahead.
If you'll just. You'll just read this out, page 2, the condition of the statement starts here.
This is our,
Yeah, just the statement, the 2 paragraphs here.
this is from the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, Corrective Division. It says, at no time did he deploy the taser on her. We continue to have conversation. At one point, probably fact that sister, having gone to the academy, said being tased was better than being pepper sprayed. They both agreed, and I said I would like to know how I will react. It's better, and that if I go through the academy one day, I don't react poorly to this. The male CPD officer then shared about his experience being shot. Some time passes, and Lopez was encouraging me to go to the academy. The male officer unholstered her taser again and put it to my leg and dry slammed me. I was not expecting him to do this. He had made contact with Officer Lopez multiple times and never deployed it. I was initially shocked, and then I rubbed my leg and said, that wasn't so bad. But you know, those things track every time it's engaged. He laughed and made along the lines of, if I can't tell if it's a test or if I make contact, he said that if I can handle that, I'll be fine in the academy. I did say I was curious to know how the taser felt, but never indicated that he should do it at the time. or excuse me, should do it at the hospital or in uniform any other time. I thought about how I did not want these officers or either agencies to be angry with me, especially fearful that if I needed backup while posted at the hospital, they wouldn't provide it. I continued to watch the inmate on my shift. I never stepped away to use the restroom or let the inmate out of my sight. He stayed fully restrained and in my lap. At the end of shift, the two jail deputies escorted the inmate out of the hospital as he was discharged, and I returned to the jail to help staff on night shift due to staffing issues. I stayed until 2100 that night and left. I returned to work the next day. The situation did not cross my mind again.
And so, having reviewed Deputy Rossiter's statement that maybe her behavior to kind of be cordial after the incident was out of fear that you guys wouldn't help her if she needed it. Is that kind of what you read there in that statement?
That's what is said in the statement.
Okay, thank you. Assuming there are no questions from members of the commission, thank you. And you're free to go have a seat. Now, while you're doing that, I'll ask Ms. Davis, any further proof that you'd like to go on?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Council, is there anything else, just so that I'm clear? I have 9 exhibits in total. Is there any other proof or evidence you'd like to put on? I do typically want to give commissioners one last opportunity. Question either way, just say things come up during this. Mr. Chair, maybe one last round just in case anybody has any other questions for our witness.
I have questions for witnesses.
Okay.
Good, sir.
Thank you. So at this time, there's no additional evidence. We can transition and make a waiting closing statement. Ms. Nicely?
Just briefly, Your Honor.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for your time today. Today you've heard from Lieutenant Kilgore from the Chattanooga Police Department who explained to you the Chattanooga policies and that opportunity to make a final decision on Mr. Matterson's case was not available to them based on his resignation while disciplinary matters were pending. That could have resulted in termination. Today you saw that the track he was going down, those policy violations were sustained at the highest level they got to before his resignation. He showed you the disciplinary matrix, and that termination was a possibility for both the undergoing conduct and the use of force with injury. The deputy at the time had not been in a position where she knew what it was like to be tased, and she was pondering that maybe she wanted to know what that was like. She never asked Mr. Matterson to tase her. And he took another officer's taser and drive stuck her. She wrote in her statement that the reason that she played along was because she was guarding a prisoner and she was scared that if she caused a scene or stirred things up, that she might not get back up from the officers on duty, specifically Ms. Lopez or Mr. Matterson, who was not on duty, but at the hospital visiting the girl he was dating, seeing at the time. Mr. Matterson provided some context to the conversations and things that we couldn't hear on the video. But the reports, the video, everything is kind of clear, as well as the stipulations that this did happen. So the commission is just charged at this point to, if there was a preponderance of evidence that he did resign while pending disciplinary matters that could have resulted in termination, what to do now. The department suggests that decertification is appropriate under the circumstances. Mr. Matterson had 10 years of experience. This was not a shiny new toy. This wasn't a new fun thing. He wasn't fresh on the streets. He had been in tasing training. He was had leadership opportunities in his department. And he should have known better. He should not have done it. And he told you that today. this is not something to be taken lightly. Had, the witness had a different position about moving forward on prosecution, I don't know that this would be the worst. Yeah, maybe that's speculation, but I don't know that this would be the worst consequences Mr. Patterson would be facing. But we are here and we would encourage the commission to consider all the facts, review the reports. If you want to rewatch any of the videos or look at any of the pictures on the screen, we're happy to do that. But the market would ask you to decertify Mr. Patterson today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
So as we said at the beginning, it's pretty straightforward. There really is no real dispute in the underlying fact. We agree with that. We agree that this happened, and we're not here to say that. I submit to you all that a 2-year suspension is a substantial discipline record, and that it's appropriate in this case. Mr. Patterson here today took responsibility, takes accountability, and continued to take accountability. And I think he was also able to provide some context and background about him as an officer, and particularly in that 6-month time period where he had a serious lapse in judgment. It was incredibly serious. I think the question before you all that we ask you to consider, there are certain decisions and lapses in judgment or character traits that cannot be overcome. I submit to you all that that's not the case here, that this can be overcome. This decision, his lapse in judgment was a decision that he made, and it deserves discipline from this commission. However, it deserves proportionate discipline. And we see that to the commission at a 2-year suspension with the additional burdens of transition school or any other additional burdens that you all wish to impose are appropriate. And so that's what we would ask you to do. We would ask you to let him have the opportunity to earn back the privilege of serving in this career that he loves so much, and allow him. And that's what I ask you to do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. At this time, we can transition into commission's deliberations. I believe, I understand both parties have proposed orders. You all free to pass those out at any time. While they're doing that, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, let me remind you all that we have a total of 9 exhibits. We have sworn testimony from 2 witnesses. It is from those things from which you will fashion what you want your decision to be in this case. This is the burden, just nicely to show that they've proven their case by providing for the evidence. That means more likely than not, 51% in that sort of way. It is your job to use all these facts in keeping with the way you conduct your business and make that decision. You'll be voting on those findings of fact, whatever you decide you want them to be. That will lead you into your conclusion of law and how you feel about what was or wasn't violated and what that should or shouldn't mean. That, of course, leads you into how you decide in this case and vote on that. And then the last column there is how your vote or how your decision affects the policy statement or decisions in the state of Tennessee. With that, and if there are no questions, Mr. Chair, I turn over to you for your all's deliberations.
It's time to look over these. Discuss how we want to move forward. Have y'all had time to review the documents? Yes. Any questions that y'all like to discuss? There you go, buddy. There you go.
Mr. Chairman, after reviewing both submitted orders before me, I'm going to make a motion that we review the order in which the state legal counsel has proposed.
Commissioner Green, I second.
We have a motion to accept the state order. Second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if we need to go through, do we need to go through the edit version as we usually do?
Yeah, I was just gonna jump in. I typically, I don't know that it's necessary to line item and read in the record every point, but at least maybe point out which numbers, which things you're adopting, which things you might change and might not. That makes our record, our court reporter have that passenger order, but it doesn't require you to read every single thing.
Commissioner Green, then I will make a motion that we accept the findings of that proposed by the state.
On Commissioner Jefferson, before you go forward with that, though, where you had a motion to second for the state to go, we'll have to take a vote on that. That's the.
My motion was to look at the 2-page documents to the multi-page as a whole, and then we can go through and dissect this.
Then you're in agreed there on your second in that.
He's like.
Commissioner, okay, all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Commissioner Wright, I'll second Commissioner Green's motion of adopting the findings of fact as is.
State. So we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept the conclusions of law stated forth in the paragraph within the order.
Commissioner Wilbur, second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Are we gonna deliberate, Commissioner Wright, we want to deliberate the judgment now, or we want to go through the policy statement?
I think we probably need to have to go through and review any, as we do these, if we see any typos or any errors, we can do that, but I'll tentatively make a motion to accept the policy statement.
Motion to accept. Second.
Commissioner Green, I'll second.
Commissioner Green, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Yeah, I don't think Commissioner Wright, I don't think we have to do anything on the last, but this is back to the judgment, is it not?
That is correct.
You know, Commissioner Wright, since I got my mic on here, I mean, I wish we had more from Deputy Rossetter. I'm glad the state did have to read that in there at the end, because what she did say, you know, she was curious to know how it felt that never gave him, never indicated for him to do it, and why she did not, kind of bring it on them, because she was fearful that she needed back up, so they wouldn't help. But then she ends her statement with the sentence, I returned to work next day and the situation did not cross my mind again. That's why I wish I wish we had a little bit more from her to, did she just casually mention it back at the department that she got dry sun while she was at the hospital, and then that person said, hey, oh, what happened? You know, I would like to know more about that. The fact that it happened, it didn't happen. And I hate that somebody that had made such obviously very strong decisions in their law enforcement career that probably resulted in saving people's lives, made such a stupid mistake at this point in time.
Mr. Commissioner Green, and I'm sympathetic that the officer was injured previously. But the inappropriate use of a weapon, no matter whether it's a less lethal weapon or a firearm, especially in a public place against another law enforcement officer who's actually performing their duties, but he's not. And it doesn't show good judgment. It doesn't show good history. The character recommendations that came through, even the assistant chief, Chattanooga PD, says he doesn't have any knowledge about what the situation is. He just thinks the guy's a good guy. So while I'm sympathetic of what's happened to him in the past, the judgment issues, what happened, he could have cost, well, he did cost at least one of the officers their job. I don't know about the deputy's position. It's just inappropriate use. And I feel for revocation. That's my feelings. Make motion to that's this discussion.
Commissioner Wilbur, I think the thing that stands out most to me is that he has 10 years of experience, and like Ms. Nicely said, this is not a shiny new toy. He knew what he was doing. He knew it was wrong. He knew it was against policy. But I've gone back and forth, but I'm with Commissioner Green now on revocation. And if you're not with me, convince me otherwise.
Seeing no more discussion, Commissioner Green, make a motion for revocation. All right, and not a word.
I was just looking to see if anybody else on my side had a mic. And we can go down there. Again, Mr. Wright, as you say, I am sympathetic to this tough law enforcement career as he had up to where he was at. It sounded like he had been a pretty good officer up until this point, maybe one or two other things going on. Departmental shooting that might have been still happening at the time being investigated, not closed, but it sounded like it was probably definitely justified. I just seem to think that he's probably got a lot more to give to the state of Tennessee, my initial thoughts. And I could say we got a lot of officers out there that this is one officer that would not make that mistake again, for sure. If they were to get back to law enforcement career, maybe even discourage any force play or things of that nature that they see going on around them or within their department. And on highway patrol, we never had tables, so we didn't have the luxury of knowing and playing with them, so I don't know that much about them. I don't know. Probably no department here will want to go on record saying whether they ever dry sun each other or not. I have no idea if that was ever done or not. How big of a deal that was, I don't know. But the whole time, I 100% agree that this was the wrong thing to do. We're just down to whether we take his post certification away from him forever, or if we come up with something in the middle. I'm kind of in the middle. 2 years is not really what I had in mind. In my mind, I was 3. Got back with a hiring agency, and then you have to come back to force, and they should have to go transition school.
I guess the commission, this Commissioner Green again, I guess my main feeling is what message do we send that this kind of activity is okay?
Commissioner Pardon, I'm not Commissioner Green, and to Commissioner Ryan, I'm trying to be very open and sympathetic to the work that this officer has done for the city of Chattanooga and law enforcement in East Tennessee. But from the perspective I have as a sheriff, we hire people that have graduated high school on Friday night and they come to work for us sheriffs on Monday morning. And they're looking up to us seniors, whether you've been there a year, 2 years, 5 years, or 34 years. And we put them in corrections. And I too have had young deputies in that very hospital with inmates. Last one was an inmate that shot a state trooper not long ago. And had that been one of mine over there, and a seasoned officer come into that ER clowning around because of some female officers that were attractive there and peacocking, because that's all this is, detaining their attention to that murder suspect that got shot. I don't know, I've tried to read into what that inmate was in jail for. I didn't see it. It was supposedly for tuberculosis, the reason they went over there, but that's beside the point. That was taking that attention, that young female deputy's attention away from that inmate who she had chained to a bed. Through the glass door. Yeah, it's there, but that is that corrections officer's responsibility to watch, secure, and maintain not only that inmate, but the personnel there and staff in that area in which they were in. And we've got a Chattanooga female city officer sitting up on the counter. I mean, it's like it was just play day. And I say it again, I'm very sympathetic that this officer's been shot. I heard testimony from the internal affairs that there's other investigation files. We didn't get into that. It's not pertinent to today. But again, what are we sending down the pipe? I mean, it's aggravated assault. It was aggravated assault without the dry stun had it had just been pointed in that direction. The threat. I've said I wasn't going to say this, but I'm going to have to give you the chatism on Thursday. I'm sure glad that little young deputy said she'd never been shot with a real gun. Just saying. And we've known of times that people have done things like that too. Again, I'm very sympathetic to this officer's injury. I'm very sympathetic to the situation. Yeah, I mean, was she really hurt? No, she was taken for a moment, but it's the what ifs and in the surroundings and the conditions. If this had happened off duty at their backyard somewhere, you never heard about it. We know it goes on. But this was not the time nor the place with multiple people standing around and security there. It just was not the place for that. And what bothers me the most was that we had an inmate that was supposed to be guarded. 100% detail, paying attention to what's going on. That's the point that gets me. And the senior officer that was there who works intelligence, who's been involved, what if that had been the suspect that had shot him sometime before, and this was another group, and something had gone on to mess his case up? I wonder how he would have felt. But again, I just wanted on the record, I am very sympathetic to him. I know he's probably done a lot of work, but this is not good. So I'm going to be in the camp from across the street here.
Do I have a motion? All in favor, motion.
I'll second.
You find me your motion.
Motion for revocation.
Second by Commissioner Carter.
Yes.
So we have a motion for revocation, second by Commissioner Carter. All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
I'll defer.
One no. The ayes have it.
So I guess I need to make a motion to accept the judgment as written in the order.
Wilbur second.
Motion to accept. Good. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, I think that concludes the contested case. I'd like to thank you all for your time and consideration. Wish you all the best, wish you all the best in your travels. That's 24. We will be adjourned. I have no idea if you all have more business or not, so I'll leave that to you, Mr. Chair.
Members of the commission, if you'll just leave your exhibits in case there's any confidential information,